Shine until I turn it around. This old beat up place is like a merry-go-round. It goes round and round till dizziness finds its place. And I've never felt so low, lost our hope, lost our control. I'm still in a slump and I can't do it, and no one here knows how to help me through it. And now all I do is cry. I'm not happy, and that's no lie, but you'll never succeed unless you try. So darling, I'm trying to erase all of my memories and all that's left of you and me, to live my life and learn how to be free. And maybe then I could fly so high, learn to be happy, wouldn't have to lie, but you'll never succeed unless you try. So let me keep trying.
Hi, we have Sierra Carson in the podcast room today, talking about her new song, Try. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your song?
Sure. So I started writing the song a couple years ago and never really finished it. So a couple months ago I went back, and yeah, I'm really proud of what I came up with. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So in the song, it's about overcoming obstacles, and it's about, it's kind of like a love story, sort of what I got out of it, that went really, really badly, that went like,
yeah.
you know. So why don't you, is there like a story behind it that you'd like to share, or is there?
Sure. So when I started writing the song, I was pretty young, and it was more about being bullied by some of my really close friends. But then, like I said, when I went back to finish it, it kind of became more about society and kind of overcoming what other people think about you. And so, yeah, that's kind of what it means to me. So,
are there other songs that you're making that you kind of want to have the same message tied to it?
Definitely, yeah. A lot of my music is about encouraging others to be who they are and to be open about sharing how they feel. And so, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for being on the podcast. How does it feel to be on the podcast? How does it feel to be the first featured guest?
I'm so excited about this. Like, I'm really honored and excited about what you guys are doing. So thank you.
I think we feel the same way. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to The Flip, the official Arkansas Arts Academy podcast.
Well, not official. There's
This
four
is
of
not
us.
official. There's 4 students.
Yeah, there's 4 students from the audio production class. And
Well, it's official if I say it's official.
okay,
So
well, it's
guess
official
what?
then. So I'm Cassie.
My name's Christian,
I'm Adrian.
I'm Allie.
Yeah.
and welcome to the podcast. So this is our pilot episode.
Our topic for today is what it's like to be a performer and how that differs depending on what type of art you're doing.
So all 4 of us are musicians. Well, at least these
Magicians.
3 magicians, musicians, magic musicians that are magicians.
Magicians, yeah.
I know Adrian, Allie, and Kaz are really great musicians. I'm just kind of like starting out on that, so I'm not really.
He's
so
a great musician too.
I am not a great musician.
Magician.
Musician. So
Yeah.
magician.
Adrian and Angelo are both in visual art classes right now, kind of learning like what's that like, the perspective of what it's like to perform as a visual artist. Whereas I've only really had like, I did some creative writing and stuff when I was in middle school, but ever since then it's kind of been mostly just music. So I don't really know what it's like from a non-musician type perspective, but maybe you guys can talk about that.
I'm just starting out in visual art. I'm taking an intro into digital art right now. I've never really, well, I have tried to draw. I've tried, drawing and sketching and a whole bunch of stuff like that, and it turned out terribly, like really awful. But like with digital art, it's a little different because you're on a computer and you have all these tools and stuff at your disposal. And I guess I'm just having a lot of fun taking pictures from the internet and vectorizing them or whatever and turning them into lines and stuff, and putting all these parts into kind of like a harmony. Like you have like contrast and you have balance and a whole bunch of other components that go into a picture that you have to put together. And I'm just having a lot of fun trying to figure that out.
I'm not.
You're not.
No, you can
Adrian's
cut
not.
that out. You can cut that out.
No,
Okay. No, it's in there for
I didn't even mean to say it out loud.
it's fine.
It's fine.
Don't like
The
class.
extent of my visual art experience is body painting and makeup.
Oh my god, that's interesting.
That's a different perspective.
Oh
doing,
yeah,
like,
that's
makeup.
completely different from digital art because my art just gets washed off with water. So
Oof, and mine stays up in the cloud.
yeah, yours stays up
Forever.
in the cloud forever.
Forever.
But I feel like when people think about visual art, they don't really, for a lot of people, makeup and stuff like that is kind of the last thing that they think about.
Well, I mean, what's it kind of like? Like, what are some elements that you have to, like, what are some skills or something that you put into your body painting?
Definitely like shading and contrasting is a really big thing because in order to like bring lines to life in a painting, you have to use shadowing and contrasting colors in order to make it actually look cool. So like, for example, painting bones, adding depth underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit morbid, but I like it. That's
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Well, it's
really
Halloween
awesome.
time. It's Halloween.
Time
so
to get spooky.
It's time for bones.
Talk about your what was that?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Adrian's digital art project.
Yeah, Adrian's digital art project is the best.
It's a Halloween chameleon getting chased by monsters. He wears a clown mask.
It's really dope.
It's
You guys should
amazing.
see it,
Yes,
like,
it's gonna be our thumbnail now.
Halloweenian.
Willian,
Willian.
you fool.
Well,
Rude.
we've talked about kind of what it's like to be a performer as a musician and as a visual artist, but we haven't really talked about what it's like to be one as a dancer or as a creative writer or like a writer, which we were talking about earlier, how it's different because your art is like permanently out there. I feel like even worse than like visual art almost is like writing, because not only is it going to like how people think, how people act, but it's also like one of those permanent things that just stays there forever. You know what I mean?
But I mean, that can be a good thing too. I mean,
I know, but I feel like that would stress me out.
I feel like
really.
even if you hate an art piece or whatever, I feel like it's a good thing that it's out there because you get to learn from your mistakes, or some people might have an appreciation for it that you may not have found.
That's
right.
true.
And there's a lot of instances like throughout history of people hating art, and then after the artist dies, like their art is worth a lot of money. Van Gogh, for example,
Yeah.
everybody hated his art while he was alive, but then he died, and now
Which can I say that's like a really big, that's a big old oof. In my, like if I was to create some art and then I just like croaked and died, and then people were like, wow, this is great. And I was just like, why didn't you tell me when I was alive?
Have you guys seen that Doctor Who episode with Van Gogh in it?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah,
did
yeah,
see
yeah, I
that
see
one.
that.
Yeah. So one element of performing that we haven't talked about is dancing, for sure, which I feel like, I know, Adrian, you took dance, but
Yeah.
I mean, I took ballet when I was like 7, but I didn't really like it because I wasn't focused enough for it.
My dance performance that I had to do, I had to be a ballerina.
Wow.
It was lit. Not really.
Well, we do have someone that can talk about that for our podcast because we did want to include that. So here to talk about that, we have an interview that we pre-recorded with Lena Martin.
Hey guys, I'm on the flip. This is Christian. I got Lena Martin over here. We're gonna
What's
be
up?
talking about what it means to perform as a dancer. So I'm just gonna ask you the first question real quick. So how do you think dancing, performing as a dancer is different from performing as a musician or as an artist?
Well, I guess the main difference I'd have to go with is while we're putting on a show and we're creating this kind of piece of art, I guess, in the sense that, a musician would create a song or an artist would paint a picture. It's like we're creating this thing with our bodies, and we have to, exert all of this physical energy into it and put our souls and emotions into it as well. It's very both physically and emotionally demanding, for sure. So there's that, and but then you have to look pretty at the same time. So
Wow. So like, how do you balance that out? How do you balance all of these demands that you have to do and all these hard work that you're trying to capture? How do you balance all this, like, I guess I would say like raw energy into this eloquence?
wish I knew the answer to that question, because if I did, I probably would be a lot better than I am. But it's, having done it my entire life, one of the biggest reasons that I think probably why my mom enrolled me in the first place is because it teaches you a lot of discipline. Mm-hmm. When we're standing at the bar doing what, anybody would imagine a ballet class would look like, just, like pliés and if you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. It's you're having to not focus just on like the combination at hand. You have to focus on like what your finger looks like and what your eyes are doing, and if your pelvis is tucked, and if your arm, like, you know, like there's every little thing has to be focused on at every single moment that you're doing what you're doing. And that's just in class. So when you're on stage in front of like 100 or so people, you have all these eyes on you, so you really have to be like, you have to go to this entirely different mindset. It's interesting for sure. Yeah, it's definitely not what you would think, I guess.
So while we're on the mindset of like dancing and stuff like that, I want to ask you, is it sort of like a very competitive sport? Is it sort of centered around like a group, or is it just more individualized? Like, you know how football has a team, while maybe something like tennis is more like individualized. So what is it like in dancing?
I guess that could be a reason that it's pretty cool, is because it's a lot of both. Because I feel that the best group pieces that I've been in, and again, like going back to the fact that, I mean, dance very literally can be competitive. Like I do it, there's trophies, we get scores, you know, first place, second place, all that. And so there is a competition aspect to it, but it definitely is a group effort. Like I've always found that I do best with my group when we're all like on a level-headed mindset together, if we're like a unit as opposed to just dancing on stage. Like one of my favorite things that a teacher's ever said to me was that we're not just performing this piece to an audience, we're performing and dancing together. You know, we're making this piece of art, you know, like we're building something together.
Sort of like connecting.
Yeah, we're connecting. Yeah, we're doing something together. And like, I like to, I don't know, like think about like having connections with people on stage and stuff as opposed to just trying to perform to an audience.
Hi, I'm Ian.
What's
and
up, Ian?
I play instruments and like to write a lot. That's about it.
All right, tell us about your opinion and like
And
disagreeing.
writing.
Like-
Start off with that.
No, so just how you guys said that, like just how you went about saying about not just writing, but just in all the arts in general, just how you were like focusing on the fact that it, you know, if it stays there forever, that's just not something I thought about, you know, when I think of art. That's not something I think about, would think about writing or anything like that. I don't think about like how long it's going to be there. I think about the emotions, the feelings, the depth of it itself. Mr. Nieves has told us that you have to look at the surroundings of these artists, because that's like the biggest factor of why they made it, why they thought to create something in this way was because of their surroundings, what was going on in their own life. Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening to the first episode of the Arts Academy podcast, The Flip. And if you want to be our featured artist, or if you want to be on the podcast in any way, then you can just email us, send us a message at aaapodcastteam@gmail.com, or you can just come find one of us.
Except Ian.
Yeah, except Ian.
Ian doesn't want to be found.
Because he's sour.
I just don't want to talk to anybody.
Thanks for listening, and
We'll
see you on the flip.